Happy Christmas Eve, everybody. Welcome into this special edition of the Arkansas Football Recruiting Report. That's Otis Kirk. I'm Evan Kamika. Otis, a big day this week as it was National Signing Day on Wednesday. So we got our first look at the upcoming transfer class and high school recruiting class for Arkansas coming up next fall. Let's just get into it right away. Otis, what are your broader reactions to this class?
Well, I thought it was a pretty good class, to be honest with you. Not going to lie, it hurt losing Crutchfield or not getting Crutchfield. I don't know if you lose what you don't have, but it hurt not getting Crutchfield. Brian Huff committed some time ago to Missouri. Those two kids going to Missouri hurt. That hurt. But for the most part, Walker White went to Auburn, but you get KJ Jackson, So, to me, that's a trade-off, and then I thought at the end they really picked it up on the portal when they got Xavier and Sorey Jr. because they needed a established linebacker to take Pupal's place. And Sorey started the SEC championship game. Somebody mentioned to me that he didn't play in all the games. I said, well, he was in it. He started the SEC championship game. This is a former five-star. I think Courtney said one day on a segment that she knew him from his high school days down in Florida. This kid's good. He's sick. I saw him. He's like 6'3", 220, 230. I don't know. But he's tall. He's a big kid. He's a lot taller than Pooh was. I'm not saying he's better, not trying to compare him. I'm just saying compared to Pooh, he's taller. I hope he's as good as Pooh. But anyway, Arkansas did well there. They need an established linebacker, losing those three, especially Pooh. Running back, Jamarian Burnett is a kid from Andalusia, Alabama. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. I don't know if I am or not, but his name is Jamarian Burnett. He's 6'1", 225. He's a four-star running back. He was committed to Auburn for a long time, Evan, and then he decommitted. He visited Missouri right before signing day, but Arkansas did not get Jaden Boggs. They lost him to Florida, and this kid's actually rated higher than Jaden was. He's rated higher than Jaden if you're going to go by rankings. They're both four stars, but he's rated higher. He's more of a pure running back than Jaden was. Jaden was more of they were recruiting him as an athlete who would play some running back. This kid's a pure running back. In fact, he's built maybe an inch or so shorter than Braylon, but he's really built similar to Braylon Russell. That's two loads to bring down back there, Braylon Russell and Burnett, if they can pull in Burnett. He will visit the January 12th weekend, 12th, 13th, 14th, the official visit. He could sign or could enroll early. Sorry about that. Anyway, sorry about that. They've got, getting Sorey was huge. Then the three offensive linemen, Fernando Carmona, Junior Carmona, I guess they call him, Addison Nichols. And then, of course, we forget Keyshawn Blackstock because he committed so early. Yeah. But as a kid was at the Auburn game, that's why he said you never know in recruiting. I think we've talked about this before. Maybe it's with Jacob, but you go watch the Auburn game and Arkansas got clobbered and you got a recruit out in the stand. You think there's no way on God's green earth they will get that kid, and they land him, So, you never know with recruiting. And that's why I say, man, it's not an exact science. So logic tells you, hey, man, the kid saw Arkansas get handed to him. He's not coming here. But on the other hand, he probably saw, hey, I can play out there at tackle, So he got him. But Keyshawn, it's just been so long since he committed, we kind of forget about him, take him for granted. But three offensive linemen was a necessity. They got a blocking tight end. Taylor Green, obviously. Between Taylor Green and I talked about KJ Jackson a little bit earlier, there's half your quarterback. I guess 2/5 of it now because Austin Ledbetter has switched over from baseball to football.
the shortest transfer, I think.
You actually got five quarterbacks now. I almost forgot Austin. Dudley and I weren't working together at the time, but we saw him play. Us two and the rival school were at the Fayetteville Bryant game. I don't remember when it was his senior year, I believe, maybe junior year, but I believe it was Austin's senior year. They played up here at Fayetteville, and the three of us were out there watching him play, and he's a pretty good quarterback. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to come in and beat out Taylor Green, Jacoby Criswell, Malachi, or KJ. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying he's not going to embarrass himself out there with that group. He's a better quarterback than people give him credit. In fact, I thought he was a better football player than he was baseball player. But, he wanted to go the baseball route, and he did what he should do. But I'm glad he's giving it a try because I always thought he was a pretty good football player. who knows? I mean, no one ever thought when Cade Fortin transferred here, he would eventually start a game play. So you don't know. I mean, the injuries happen, transfers happen, especially at that position. So you just never know, But yeah, getting those two quarterbacks plus Austin was huge. That gives you a 5 quarterback room for now. The running back, I think I mentioned Burnett, but I mean, you got Braylon. You've got some good running backs coming back. AJ Green went to Tulsa. Rocket Sanders went to South Carolina. One thing that people might not have seen, if you're keeping up with these kids, Jalen Lewis committed to Temple or signed with Temple. That's the one I did not know about till recently. We poo-pawed Ole Miss, but and then Crook and Joey Sue to Arizona State. I think that's the one that's been confirmed. But anyway, I feel like that Arkansas did a pretty good job, Evan, better than you would expect coming off of 4-8. The way that season ended was just so bad and ugly. It wasn't, the losses early to Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, those were competitive losses, BYU. But man, those losses to Auburn and Mississippi State and Missouri, but it didn't seem to.
The final month of the season, usually when you're looking at it, like that's when you want to see the improvement and kind of figure it out for next year. Arkansas, the way they kind of played it was, we're just going to keep throwing our starters in and hope to win games, because when you go to Florida, you beat Florida, you're like, okay, maybe there's a long shot at the bowl. And then you come back and it's Auburn and you just get crushed. And, to hear that Blackwell was at that game and he still wanted to come here, it just goes to show how, well and how wacky the transfer portal is and how, you're right, commits are. When you have all of the negativity towards the end of the year, but you manage to beat a bad FIU team, and then you get crushed by Auburn and crushed by Mizzou and really, take your spirit away. And even before than that, Mississippi State game, that's the game, the 7-3, where we're sitting on the sidelines going, what is going on right now? And all of that we saw was KJ gets sacked. The offensive line is struggling against a mediocre at best Mississippi State defense.
Here's what I think has happened on that team. The two biggest shortcomings on the football team to me were play calling. I'm not going to say quarterback coaching. I'm going to say play calling and the offensive line play. And I feel like, this is no knock at Cody, but I feel like Arkansas has upgraded considerably at play caller, and they have upgraded on the offensive line with Eric Mateus. I feel like that Sam has fixed the two areas that really haunted this football team. In fact, the play calling to me and the offensive line play gave them no chance of winning most of those games. It just, I don't know how to beat Florida. It's just, it was just a game where they did, and Florida kind of outpathetic them. But I feel like that he fixed the two areas. Because I'm going to tell you, Bobby Petrino is as good play caller as there is in the country. People can like the hire, they can hate the hire, but whatever, give the guy credit. I bet him like I am LeBron James. You can hate LeBron James, but give him his credit. The guy's a great player, man. And that's what I'm saying about Bobby Petrino. You can hate the hire, but I love the hire, but you can hate it, but give the guy credit. He's a great play caller. He's as good as I've ever seen. And then Eric Mateus is a very good offensive line coach. So to me, and then they not just the coaches, but they've gone and signed 2 quarterbacks, 3 offensive linemen. They're going to sign another interior offensive lineman, maybe 2. So they're fixing the areas that were somewhat broken, Evan. And to me, that gives you a chance to be better next year. It's what, like I said, if you win some of those early games, the LSU, the Alabama, the BYU, the A&M, you win some of those games. I don't think you see that at the end. I don't think you see the bad ending at the end. Maybe you do. I mean, we'll never know, but I don't think you do. I think if you could have won some of those. Ole Miss was another one. No, they had chances to win those games, and if they had, I think the ending of the season would have been ended differently. And but that's all speculation. But anyway, I do like the class. I feel like they've upgraded all spots except for defensive tackle right now. I like the Charlie Collins and Kavion Henderson at defensive end. I think that's as good a combo at defensive end as anybody in the country signed from the high school ranks. I think that's as good as anybody did. They're trying to get an edge rusher out of the portal and get you a defensive tackle, interior defensive tackle, nose guard type out of the portal. Their cornerback, a wide receiver. When Sam says running back, I don't know if he would take. I don't think he would take one from the portal if he got Burnett. I may be wrong on that, but I don't think he would if he got Burnett. And I think they may very well get Burnett. Bradley Shaw is a linebacker from Hoover that I thought might sign during the early signing period. He didn't. I think what's going to happen with Bradley, and this is just me speculating, Evan, I think he's going to announce something at the All-Star game, the All-America game. I think he's going to announce there. You know, a lot of kids do. So I look for Bradley instead, and he might have even signed early and asked them not to release it. That has happened before with kids where they've signed and asked the school not to release it. And I'm not saying he did that. I'm just saying he could have. But I think he will announce at the All-America game. And I do feel good about Arkansas getting him over Clemson, you know, after Auburn and Alabama kind of went by the wayside. So I feel pretty good about Bradley Shaw, Hoover, another 4-star linebacker.
And that would be a big hole. You know, you need that linebacker presence right now, and that's one thing that Sam said is that, you know, they're looking for another linebacker. Like we've talked about, you can always add pieces into the secondary, and I think the most interesting thing is going to be the running back room. And you know, all summer long, all spring, we're going to talk about the quarterback battle between, you know, the 5 guys who are now in that room, but I think it's going to come down to what's the running backs going to look like with Augustov coming back and Rashad Dubinion's still here, and now you add in Braylon Russell and getting for some of these other guys. That to me is going to be the most interesting part of the offseason. Isn't the quarterback, but it's going to be the backfield, because you saw when Arkansas was successful, they were a top 10 rushing team in the country in 21 and 22. So when that line is successful, that backfield, they want to run the ball. But I think, again, you know, you have a lot of speedy wide receivers coming in with Ashton Bethel-Roman, who was a nice surprise for a lot of us who were at Pittman's press conference earlier this week, as well as Cross Johnson, and Mike and I talked about these guys yesterday in our Picture Nation report, and how you bring in some of these speed guys who can burn the secondary and get over top of the defense to really open up then the running game.
Yeah, and you know, people said, well, but Cross Johnson's a 2-star. Well, look, Bobby Petrino liked the guy, and I'm going to tell you, Jamal Anderson and Marcus Monk were 2-star recruits too, and they signed them, and we know how that turned out. Jamal Anderson was first-round draft pick. Now, it wasn't a receiver, it was a defensive end, but he signed as a receiver. This kid's got speed, and you cannot coach that, Evan. You can coach fundamentals, and not everybody who runs like Cross can catch a football and play receiver either. Otherwise, you'd have the track team out there playing football. So it's got to be a combination. But you can coach. Kenny Guyton and Bobby Petrino can coach the kid up at receiver, but they can't coach the speed that kid has. God blessed him with that, and so you know, I mean, he was blessed with it when he was born. So that's something that you just simply can't coach, and you can't. When you find someone like that, and he's got football skills, then you see, I always thought Malik Hornsby could have been a similar receiver to that. The one thing I questioned about Malik was, could he catch football? Well, then they put him out there that spring. He caught one pass after another. And I thought if he'd have devoted himself to receiver, he could have been really good. I really thought he could. I understand he wanted to play quarterback, and that's his right. But I'm just saying, in my opinion, I thought he could really play receiver because he could catch it. His hands were good, is what I'm saying. Because that's the one thing you worry about a kid with speed. You just don't know, can they catch the football? Because if they can't, you know, then getting wide open and being 10 yards behind the receiver, a defensive back, I mean, and then dropping the ball does you no good. But this kid, if he's got good hands and they can coach that part and get him going fundamentally, he'll be great. Because I mean, he'll be outstanding because of his speed, you know, because you just can't coach that. But you know, and then the secondary, they're still looking to sign a corner. But they got Danico Slaughter, who we've talked about on here before, from Tennessee. I really like him. They've got 8 scholarships, but they've only got 10 visits left. You know, you're maxed out. They're maxed out on visits. They've only got 10 visits. So what they've got to do, you got January the 3rd through the 7th. You're going to have that 5-day window for transfers to visit again, like it was last year. But boy, you've got to nail it, because you can't bring in kids who are not coming, because you've only got 10 visits. So you got to make, if you need 8 kids for 10 spots, you got to make sure you're bringing in realistic kids that you can get. And so you can't make too many mistakes. You got a 2 visit margin of error, you know. So Arkansas's got to be careful with that. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think, you know, we've talked about cornerback, a linebacker, edge rusher, defensive tackle, interior offensive lineman, running back, and a wide receiver. And that's 7. So that would still leave them 1 spot. It would be interesting to see if they got Burnett, you know, or if they got Shaw. See, if they get Shaw, I think they might still take a portal linebacker. Because, I mean, you lost 3 there. And you got the high school kids coming in, but you might take another portal. I could see them, but then again, you might choose to take another running back. You to go even with the 2 high school kids. Yeah, like you said, we're so used to going out there in spring ball and seeing KJ heading off the rocket, but you're right. It's going to be completely different. It's going to be that backfield, the whole backfield, not just quarterback, not just running back. That whole backfield is going to be interesting because you've got, is it going to be Taylor Green? Is it going to be Jacoby, Malachi, KJ, Austin? Is it going to be, you name the running backs. I mean, and then throw in Dominic Johnson, who I think is a good blocker and probably should be your short yardage guy. So it's going to be fun because it's not, all this is not set in stone. I mean, in the past, I'm not saying it wasn't interesting, but you knew KJ was going to be the quarterback. You knew Rocket was going to be the running back. And there's a lot worse things than knowing those two guys are in your backfield. There's a lot worse things than that. But I'm just saying from an interesting standpoint, it is going to be interesting this spring, Evan, to go out there and see new players, and kind of unknowns.
Yeah, it's storylines that we haven't seen in Fayetteville since 2018, 2019. So that's always fun. That always brings excitement. On top of that, Bobby Petrino's back. There's a lot of excitement. And to kind of wrap up and put it in a bow, you're absolutely right when you bring up the fact that Sam Pittman needs to nail the next 10 days, right? Like there's no question about it. 8 spots. A big thing that he did emphasize, though, and keep that in mind, is that he did say we have to find the right guys and we cannot mess this up. So he knows the stakes. There's a lot at stake, not only for the rest of the offseason, but also when spring ball rolls around and then again fall camp. And this is going to be a make or break season for Coach Pittman in 2024, Otis. Anything else before we go?
No, it's pretty much just Merry Christmas to everybody. Thanks to you and everybody out there. And thanks for watching this segment. Appreciate it and much appreciated. And everybody have a Merry Christmas, but Happy New Year's. Have a safe one as well.
Otis, to you as well, and to everybody watching, we thank you for all the support and everything throughout the entire year. This is a time to be with family and to be with friends, so go enjoy those family, go enjoy those friends. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you next year. This has been your Arkansas Football Recruiting Report.